if style points were what you were looking for in this game, then you came away from it disappointed because there were no style points to be had in this one. But they did come away with a W. What are your initial thoughts on it, Anthony?
Yeah, this will probably be the only time I'm have any sense of negativity throughout the show because I definitely tend to be more positive. But listen, if the NFL didn't have the dumbest rule in the world and they still don't understand what a catch is, we lose this game, right? Because Jalen Polk most definitely caught that ball in the end zone. I think we can all agree on that.
There was no question about that.
So, like, it didn't end on the high note I was hoping for. Like, if that Alec Ingold touchdown was like in the closing minutes of the fourth, and like we roughed one out and we got the win with the touchdown, I would have felt much better about this. That being said, we still technically get credit for the win, so I feel pretty good about it. We're gonna get into game balls and jock straps just in a minute. I think we have some really good ones this week to talk about, but it was really good to see Tyler Huntley get into a rhythm. He was much better this week than he was last week. It was night and day. He still was far from perfect. He still was not NFL caliber, I guess you could say, or at least not like. I mean, it wasn't great, but you can see the playmaking ability of him out there. Like, you can see there's a little Mahomes in him, just like very, very light version, like a light mayo.
Pocket version.
You don't want to eat it, but sometimes it's all you got, right? So, it was. I was encouraged by Huntley's performance, but I am still very hopeful that Tua comes back in Week 8.
Yeah. I think we can all agree on that. I mean, Huntley was decent. You know, he got
pedestrian's a good word.
Yeah, pedestrian. Right? There you go.
It's better than he was.
It's really sad that pedestrian's what we're rooting for.
Hey, he graduated from JV to varsity, high school. Yeah. Right, that's where we're at right now.
And you know what? The Dolphins did move the ball a little bit. I mean, at one point, I know we were saying, they don't have any points on the board. What's the deal? We'll get into the reasons why that was, but they did move the ball, and Huntley had to move the ball a little bit. And part of it was the running game. Part of it was this is the best I've seen the offensive line play all season. That I will say that.
Oh yeah.
I will add there because I know we're not going to talk about him later. Jalen Waddle, dude, you got to come down with some of these hard catches, help the quarterback out. I mean, he got hit in the hands like 3 or 4 times. It would have been really tough catches. Don't get me wrong, but you are paid like a top tier receiver, my friend. Let's start performing like one.
Yeah, the problem is these are not anomalies. Sorry, can't speak today anymore. They're becoming a trend between him and Hill. Dropping passes, lack of aggression, and lack of kind of, I don't know. I don't want to call it sustained professionalism, but you know what I mean?
Yeah. It's true. They play different for Huntley and the other quarterbacks than they do for Tua. It's a very interesting dynamic. I mean, Hill had a touchdown in the end zone if he watches his feet. It's,
Yeah.
Now, that was an amazing play, too. I can't believe he even caught that ball, so I don't really blame him for that. But you're right. Like, you see a difference between the way they play for Huntley or Thompson than the way they play for Tua.
Absolutely. Steve, you've been quiet up there for a little bit. What did you think about it? Yeah.
No, I was listening. I was getting some other perspectives. I thought it was an ugly game. It was a game that I predicted, but it was a good win too. I mean, it was a win we really needed, and ultimately, it just was kind of a game between two teams who really aren't playing great football. In my opinion, it was just the Patriots made a little bit more mistakes than we did, which costed them the game rather than us really earning the game.
That's a good way to put it.
Yeah, I'm really happy that it happened, but I mean, for real, like we had a block punt, 2 missed field goals, one off the upright, another one was a botched snap.
Special teams.
We had the interception, we had the snap that went over the quarterback's head that created taking us out of field goal range. That hurt. But ultimately, the Patriots had 12 penalties for 105 yards, where we had 6 for 54. I think that helped. That's probably worth the 5 points that we won by, or I believe, what was it, 10? Yeah, 15-10. That was the 5 points we probably won by right there. I mean, they had 5 pre-snap penalties, 5 offensive holding. That's not helping them anywhere, and then on top of that, they had 2 more penalties on the defense. So it was just a sloppy game, but it was honestly a great win by us. And I think we should be, I know I don't express happiness over it, but we should be happy about it because we're 2-3 and we're totally not out of this division, like not even close. And we're going into a good week of rest. So
Yeah.
I think there's a lot to be optimistic about after a tough win, a grinded out win like that.
Yeah, I mean we're a game back, guys.
Yeah, that's it.
The Bills are 3-2. They're division leaders. We are a game back here. So I'm getting some echo on my end here. I'm sorry about that, guys.
I will say, while Keith is figuring that out, guys, a big shout out to Big Mike this week. I don't think any of us are going to bring it up later, but kind of got rid of the motion.
Yep.
I
was going to bring it up later.
Right. We had some sense of motion, but like really cut it back a lot. I think he really helped out the offense in just making those changes.
Oh, for sure.
I
mean, look at the run game, right? So total rushing yards, we had 193. Right. I think that's the first time since week 8, I think it was, of week 8 or 7 or 8 of last year. I mean, he committed, he didn't pan, he did everything that we've talked about so far this season. He must listen to the show. I think he's one of the listeners, right? Because what have we been preaching? Yeah. Patience. You are dubbed the run game guru, right? Yet we run the ball 5 times a game. I mean, I understand we're paying our wide receivers an obscene amount of money. They're very, very good when Tua is in there, but be consistent. That's literally one of the main core principles that we have been preaching. Just be patient and be consistent. And he was. You saw. I mean, I didn't write down the number of rushes we had this game.
41.
I mean, it was awesome. That's the kind of game we need. These are the kind of games that we need, right? With our quarterback situation. I think I've been the biggest fan of Huntley on the show so far because I see what he can do under the guys that our offensive coordinator, or in our case, our head coach, calls the correct game plan for him.
Yeah.
Run the ball heavy. That opens up the play action, which he's very good at. That allows you to use his legs. That allows you to then throw in some design runs, some quarterback runs, so he can use what his strength is and keep it simple, stupid, right? That's the game plan with Huntley. And I think the fact that we ran the ball as much as we did, I think Wright and Mostert, I'm glad, I was happy to see Mostert back. I think that was some of the juice that we needed, kind of a spark. He looked awesome.
Yeah,
right?
He made everybody else look like they're not explosive. Like, do it right. Right was just out of a cannon. But I mean, Devon A-Chain is explosive, but he almost doesn't look it when you watch those two get the ball and hit the hole. Like,
shout out to him getting healthy quick.
Yeah.
And the concussion protocol again. I mean, what is that, player number 58 for us? That's in the concussion protocol.
They were running that ball tough in between the tackles and guards.
This was like an early 90s type of football game where we're just going to run it down your throat. We're going to get the 2 yards. We're going to fall forward for that 3rd or 4th. We're going to get the 4 yards. Exactly. Yep. And I think to your point, Steve, this kind of tough win that we gutted out sets the stage and allows the players to believe that they can do these kind of games down the road. So to Anthony's point and to Keith's point, I think it was Keith, sorry. We're still in it, right? We won the division game. Everyone else in the division lost. We're a game out of this division. Tua comes back in a few weeks. If he comes back and he is the player that he was last year, maybe not in game 1, please, for the love of God, please don't be that player again. I think we have every chance to be optimistic that we can get this done. All we need is a chance. We just need to get in. I don't give a crap if it's we win the East or if we sneak into the wild card. You get in, then you make it play because it's first. You win or you go home.
So I'm not sure who it was. It might have been Schefter or something, but they had just said Tua was meeting either tonight or tomorrow night with doctors to see whether or not he should or should not play and how soon he can come back. So there should be a timeline sooner than later coming out for Tua. And indications are saying from, people, Manti Te'o, including him, I guess he's has worked with Tua in off seasons and knows Tua pretty well. But according to him, Tua wants to play according to him. So I saw something that he was saying. Now he's speaking for Tua only if I hear Tua say it, then I believe it. But that's kind of going around right now. Him kind of giving the word for Tua that he's coming back. And I think it makes us excited. And I think it could be as soon as 2 weeks, reading some of these reports, if you will. They're not any doctors, but he's visiting with the right people today or tomorrow to hopefully get cleared for the maybe one more game out.
A lot of Twitter doctors are going to be mad about that. But let's be honest. I mean, the only reason people are so down on Tua coming back is because his injuries were so both were on prime time, and both of them he was clutching his hands. But I mean, it just happened to Josh Allen over the weekend. And
I was literally about to say that.
Anything about it.
Waking him up with smelling salts. He was back in 6 minutes later. He
was down in the fetal position, hand as a claw, just like Tua.
He was out. It wasn't even.
He was completely knocked out.
Yeah.
At one point, you could see his hand up against the turf like this. He was not bracing himself at all. He was knocked out.
Goes in the blue tent, like Steve said, for 6 minutes.
Yep.
It was 3 NFL minutes, 5 plays.
Gets some smelling salts and back out in the field. What?
And
how did they not violate any rules there? Right?
Well, and the Bills fans who want to get on us about how we handled Tua a couple years ago, their claims to moral superiority here are falling on deaf ears now.
Out the window?
Yeah, completely out the window.
I didn't want to harp on that or anything. I was just it just is so
But it's a good point.
Yeah,
it's such it's a hypocrisy. There's just 2 different rules for different players, and it doesn't make any sense.
Mm-hmm. Absolutely. Yep. All right, so we've talked about the offense. We talked about how Huntley got them moving the ball a little bit. We do need to touch on special teams. We do need to touch on the lack of discipline still. I found this to be one of the worst coached special teams games I've seen in a long time now. Danny Crossman has come under fire on this show.
Yep, sure has.
Times.
I heard Robert Sala's looking for a job.
They keep you going to coach that special teams.
Hey, make him an assistant head coach and let him be the special teams coordinator. I don't care.
But yeah, the special teams was not very good. So how do we fix it? What do we do better next time?
I got an idea.
Go for it, Josh.
Fire Dan Crossman. Get rid of him immediately tomorrow during the bye week. Bye. Because look, it can't get any worse, right? It really can't.
But
Jake Bailey.
How's it his fault? He's not the one who dropped the snap to set up the field goal. He's not the one who didn't kick the ball fast enough on the punt. I understand wanting to rip him, but these were player problems in this game. More than scheme problems. I mean, everybody on special teams had Butterfinger Sans Barrios on that one nice return.
If we're being honest, we laced into McDaniel. Those are
You're
player errors.
You're right.
I mean, the coach has to get the players ready. You have to know that is their entire responsibility, is to make sure they understand, okay, when you get the ball, you need to do this in this amount of time. Yeah. When you get the ball, you need to look here. When you are blocking, you need to push here and fall off to help this guy immediately. Don't jump off. It's this is going to be a two count. This is going to be a hard count. This is going to be a soft. All of this shit is what the coach. All of this stuff is what the coach is supposed to prepare your players for. I understand players are going to play, right? You can only affect the game so much as a coach. But at the end of the day, just like my manager at my job, it falls on. If I screw up, it doesn't. I mean, it falls on me to an extent, but it's a reflection of her, right? And this is a reflection on Crossman. I'm sorry. And it hasn't been just this year. He's been bad for years. We've had one of the worst special teams for probably since he took over, outside of one anomaly year.
Yeah,
It's almost like they don't give them any money in a budget. It's almost like they give them the lowest budget possible and kind of say, "Do what you can with this."
That's kind of what special teams is, though.
Yeah, but there's some. I mean,
they're the Dollar
if you
General
think
of
about
NFL teams.
kickers are legitimately usually the all-time leader in points scored for a team. I mean, it is an important position, and a lot of the times, all the pressure is going to fall on you at the end of the game. So I think these players do need to start making better money, and I think with better money, you're going to get better players. I mean, some of these players outkick what they're going to make, and they don't want to be that guy anymore. Like even Marquette King back in the day, he's a punter, but he was exciting and he was great. I still think he has the longest punt in NFL history, but he wants too much money, so therefore he went and played in a league where he's going to get more money for selling jerseys and making media appearances.
Well, the problem with that is there's only so much room, and with the increase in salary cap, because the owners aren't going to. I don't want to use the word collude, but because the owners aren't going to get together and say, okay, collectively, we are going to allocate X amount, I'm making this up, X percentage to the quarterback position, X percent, so that it can be allocated in other places instead of, all right, well, it's the next guy up, so we got to give him 60 million. Okay, the next guy's up, we got to give him 65 million. Until that kind of stuff happens, special teams.
I think with how little these players are getting, it's going to be hard to find that Adam Vinatieri anymore, because after 5-6 seasons of kicking consistent, they're going to want to make a couple million. They're not going to want to just make $1 million for the season or $2 million for the season.
Yeah, some real first world problems, huh?
Yeah, no, I get it, but they're seeing everybody else's paycheck.
But you're still. Yeah, Justin Tucker was the example I was about to use too.
He's the only one making that kind of money, though, right? I don't think anybody else is.
But that's after 10 plus years of sustained, absolute excellence, being the best kicker in football.
I think Atlanta just paid their guy like a crap load of money. Their kicker,
and he's earned that.
He's
solid.
Brandon Aubrey's going to get paid by the Cowboys.
One thing I do wonder is who's it's hard for us to know what the relationship is between the GM and scouts and the coaches and stuff, like who's pulling those strings. But like you've seen guys like this Brandon Aubrey come in out of nowhere, right? And then you've seen this kid who just came from the XFL who's now kicking for the Lions, right? And it's like, who's making these calls to go out on a limb and bring in some of these younger talents that are arguably more exciting than a Jason Sanders, right? And which Sanders hasn't been a huge problem, but just like that whole idea of like who's finding the talent for special teams. I mean, we see very few special teams coaches get jobs. Is probably a good reason for that. I think Harbaugh up in Baltimore is the most successful one.
Yeah.
But I always wonder, like, what's the dynamic there, right?
Probably scouts, right? They have special team scouts for different positions, and then they pick a coach, and as long as it doesn't poop the bed, he's your special team.
Yeah, depending on the team, right? Some of them only have watching the Giants, what do you call it? Hard Knocks. They have like 8 scouts. That's crazy. To cover the entire country and all those players. But I digress. So the one thing I do want to point out is if he gets to choose who's starting, like, dude, the Berrios experiment's a little bit over, bro. I mean, another one with a fair catch with 5 yards of distance between the closest defender and him. What are you looking at? Malik Washington did a fine job in the preseason. I'm okay with giving him a shot. Why not? He's not doing anything else. I mean, he's not catching any balls out there on offense. So he had one nice play in this game, and he's had, I think, one nice play in another game. But outside of that, he's been largely absent.
I mean, he only has 1 reception on the year, so for 8 yards.
No, that's Malik, right? I mean Berrios.
Oh, Berrios. Gotcha.
Yeah, Berrios has been largely just absent as a punt returner. He's been not good.
Yeah, I agree. He did have a nice punt return this last game, but it is something we need to address going into the bye week, and that's what the bye week's for, isn't it? To address any issues, to get healthy, get your minds right, get your bodies right. I think during this bye week, the Dolphins are going to be should be doing more work than most teams would do during a bye week. They have to go back to the lab here a little bit. I mean, we had them starting. Most of us had us starting 4-1, 5-0. They're 2-3. It's been a disappointing start. They need to do some work. And that's special teams. That's everybody. That's everybody and everywhere. So
I thought the defense especially looked like they regressed in this one.
Yeah.
They were letting up chunk plays all over the place, whether it was Stevenson, Gibson, Brissett. I mean, it was just
the end of the game stuff where defensive coordinators are calling scared. The game's scared. Let's just throw prevent defense on, and they're getting 12, 11, 10, 12, 15, 12. It's like, come on, guys. Like
watching Jalen Ramsey just let Polk run right by him. It's like, you are our top paid corner, right? Do you understand what that means?
It drives me nuts.
And it's been such a departure from what they've been throughout this season too, because they have been the unit that's kind of been holding things together to an extent.
They're 6th in the NFL in total yards allowed per game and 4th in passing yards allowed per game.
Yeah.
I mean, why are we playing prevent defense with 7 minutes left in the game? Like, come on.
The old saying goes, all prevent defense does prevent wins.